Back in the day, every human had to hunt and gather their own food. However, humans are intelligent, and we hate doing work, so we decided to create tools to make our work easier. From sticks to axes, to plows to tractors, these tools have driven almost everyone out of agriculture. In the 1700s, nearly 90% of the population worked in agriculture. As of 2010, that figure's down to 2%. Yet we still have an abundance of food. This concept doesn't just apply to farming, though. Over the past 1,000 years, we've created tools to help reduce the amount of physical labor needed. These are mechanical muscles, stronger, more reliable, and more tireless than human muscles could ever dream of being. And this is all a good thing. Replacing human labor with machines leaves people free to do other jobs. This is called specialization, and specialization is how economies grow and standards of living rise. Some of these ex-farmers that have chosen to specialize in computer programming and engineering, and their job is to create mechanical minds. Just as mechanical muscles put human physical labor out of demand, so too are mechanical minds going to put human brain labor out of demand. This is an economic revolution. Some experts say we've been here before, but we haven't. This time is different. So what is workplace automation, and why is it a threat? When you think of automation, you probably think of robots pretty similar to these. Expensive, efficient, but really dumb robots blind to the world around them. They were terrifying when first released. Factory workers everywhere feared everyone would lose their jobs. And they haven't taken over the world solely because they're only cost-effective in very specific situations. These robots require skilled operators and technicians and cost millions of dollars to operate. This, however, is the old kind of automation. This is Baxter. Unlike the other robots, Baxter can be controlled by anyone, and he only costs pennies worth of electricity to run. He can be programmed to do almost any simple task just by doing it in front of him. He might be 10 times slower than your average factory worker, but a tenth the speed is still cost-effective at a hundredth the price. Baxter here isn't our Terminator, though. Think of him more as a computer in the 1980s. Just as computers got infinitely more efficient over the years, so too will robots like Baxter. He's cool, sure, but he's not going to be taking Ms. Fisher's job anytime soon. He can already take over many factory workers' jobs, though, and we've seen even dumber technology take jobs in the past. ATMs put thousands of bank tellers out of work, and they can only spit out money and read a credit card. Supermarket self-checkout machines are slowly replacing cashiers all over the United States. Robots are already replacing humans, and their mechanical minds are only going to outpace biology faster and faster. You've probably seen this clip before. Google's self-driving car. Cool. What threat does it pose to transportation workers? Well, the transportation industry composes nearly 3 million American jobs. When, not if, when, these jobs are all lost to self-driving cars, these 3 million people are going to be out of a job. Why am I so sure this is going to happen? Pure logic, to be honest. Humans make mistakes, and computers don't. Aside from some major system error, a robot doesn't stop scanning the road. Robots don't run red lights or stop signs. They don't get in accidents, and they don't text and drive. From a trucker's perspective, robots don't have to sleep in their cab or stop driving any longer than it takes to fill the truck up with fuel. On top of this, companies no longer even have to pay an employee to drive the vehicles. These jobs are over. And the usual argument is that the unions will prevent this, but history is filled with workers trying to fight technology that would replace them, and the workers always lose. Economics always wins. So it's pretty simple to look at robots like Baxter or Google's self-driving car and think, oh, well, technology in the past has always just replaced low-skilled jobs that we don't want people doing anyway. They'll just get, more educated and do better and more well-paying jobs. Completely ignoring the issue of sending 100 million people through higher education, white-collar work isn't safe either. If your job's sitting in front of a computer screen, the robots are coming for you too. Intangible software robots are both cheaper and faster than actual physical robots, and given that white-collar work is both more expensive and more numerous than low-skilled jobs, companies are even more incentivized to replace white-collar workers. Take, for example, the U.S. stock market. What actually used to be a bunch of stockbrokers on the floor, now is actually just a bunch of robots, and they pretty much taught themselves to trade stocks back and forth. What you see on TV is pretty much just a TV set. There are no actual brokers on the floor anymore. If you've read a newspaper recently, you've probably actually read something written by a robot. Companies are teaching bots to write pretty much anything these days. Sports stories, TPS reports, quarterly reports that most people have to fill out at work. Paperwork, decision-making, and writing. A lot of human work falls into that category, and robots are coming to replace it. Don't worry though, right? We can all just become doctors and lawyers and we'll be safe. Not quite. When most people think lawyer, they probably think, trials. But the bulk of lawyering is actually just drafting legal documents and predicting the likely outcome and impact of lawsuits, and something called discovery. Discovery is basically where boxes of paperwork get dumped on the lawyers, and they have to find a pattern or an out-of-place transaction among, a million emails. That can be done by robots, Discovery in particular. It's already not a human job in many forms, not because there isn't paperwork to go through, there's more of it than ever, but because clever bots shift through millions of emails and memos and accounts in hours, not weeks, crushing human researchers in terms of not just cost and time, but most importantly, accuracy and efficiency. Bots don't get sleepy reading through a million emails like humans do. So I'm sure you guys have heard of Watson, IBM's robot that beat Ken Jennings at Jeopardy, the world's best Jeopardy player. Well, after that, IBM decided to make him a doctor. He's partnering with Sloan Kettering Research Facility in order to help diagnose lung cancer patients. He is honestly more accurate than probably 90% of the doctors in the world today. There are over 400,000 deaths worldwide due to medical malpractice every year. Watson doesn't get tired while working on a case or a particular patient. He can shift through every single medical document that's ever been released and compare it with other medical documents or other cases. He knows every interaction between every drug ever. That's something that's just not possible for humans to learn. There's too much of it out there, especially considering 1,000 new research chemicals are created on a daily basis. Watson can compare background checks against all of these medicines and see whether or not it'll have an adverse effect on the patient. And as I'm nearing the end of this video, I just wanted to throw out that there are also robots that can create music that is undistinguishable from human symphonies created in a blind hearing test, so we can't all just make music either. Honestly, these jobs are going to disappear soon, and our society is not set up to handle this kind of economic revolution. Putting this many people out of jobs is comparable to the Great Depression. On a list of the top 33 jobs in America, 32 of them are currently easily replaceable by technology and have existed in some form or another in the past 100 years. It's not until you get to 33 on the list, where you hit computer science, that's the first new job in the past 100 years. Robots are going to take every single job if we don't do something about it.